Hi, welcome to the Penguin Post newspaper broadcast. Today we are interviewing Dr. Marta Yebra. She uses remote sensing data to predict things. That's amazing. Let's ask her some questions.
In simple words, what does remote sensing mean?
So remote sensing is a technique that uses sensors that are mounted in different platforms. So basically, we put cameras into towers or drones or aircrafts or spaceborne platforms to measure things from the distance. So remote sensing is basically the science of measuring things from the distance. So measuring things without touching them.
What is a carbon footprint?
And you ask again, I didn't hear it very well.
What is a carbon footprint?
Oh, the carbon footprint. So the carbon footprint is the amount of emissions people do. So when we, so that's a bit out of my expertise. Basically, people, when doing the normal activities, we create contamination. And when we produce food, also we create contamination, and that all goes into the atmosphere. And that the carbon footprint is how much each individual contaminate the environment.
How can volunteers gather useful data?
So do you mean how volunteers can gather data? Is that your question? Yeah, data about about the environment in general. Yeah, so my specific research is in bushfires, and some of the things we do with satellites, for example, is to measure properties of the vegetation that are related to fire risk. For example, we measure things like water content on the plants, fuel loads, and things like that. I have used a lot of people that has helped me in the past to collect data on the ground to characterize those properties. So for example, I had people across Australia that have been taking samples of vegetation to know how much water that vegetation have. And that helps me to calibrate models using satellite data. But yeah, volunteers and citizen science is very important to collect data, especially in countries like Australia that is very big. And for example, me as a scientist cannot go everywhere and collect samples. So if people help collecting samples, that's always very useful.
Were wildfires common 100 years ago as they are now?
Can you ask again, Amelie?
Were wildfires common 100 years ago as they are now?
No, unfortunately, they have changed a lot. So 100 years ago, the fires were a lot milder and they were not as often as they are now. So what is happening these days and over the last years is that climate is changing. So the climate is getting warmer. And with that, the days that we have fire danger, so the days that the fires are likely to occur are increasing. And therefore we are having more and more fires and also during longer time periods. So before the fire season, so the days in the year where fires occur were very short, but now they are getting longer and longer and longer. And also the fires are getting more intense and severe. So yeah, a lot has changed.
How did you get interested in studying what you do?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's probably a very long story. Yeah, when I was your age, I used to dance ballet. So I was a ballet dancer. I did a lot of training. I really liked that. So, but when I was 18, I had an accident and I broke my ankle. So I had to quit dancing. And then I went into the university and I wasn't sure what I wanted to study. But at the beginning, I wanted to do dentistry. But then I realized that I enjoyed a lot being in nature and going out to national parks, and being in contact with nature was something that I really liked. And when then I decided to study environmental science. And in the last year of my degree, I met a scientist that was using remote sensing data to monitor fire risk, so to know where fires may occur. And we started to talk about it, and I got very engaged with the capability of remote sensing data. I was very amazed of how you could use pictures taken from the space to know where fires may occur. So that got my interest, and I decided to do a PhD study into that. And yeah, 10 years, about 10 years later, I'm still doing the same kind of research.
What do you think life will be like for us when we would become adults?
How the life is going to be like for you when you become adult? Is that the question? Oh, wow. Yeah, who knows? Well, hopefully, if we take actions and we are more conscious about climate change and we reduce the emissions, and governments are good to take care of the environment, things may not change much, but we are a bit worried that the temperatures are increasing too much, and we are not sure how easy it's going to be living in an environment that has not been cared for long. But yeah, probably, if again governments take actions, we can stop climate change or decelerate it, and things won't change much. But what I find it very exciting is that the technology is evolving a lot. So the technology grows very quickly, and with the time you can do more and more things, and measure things with more detail. So for example, in terms of space capabilities, now it's very easy to build a satellite and launch it. In the past, only very big space agencies could build space missions to launch space missions to track the environment. Now, every scientist can get engaged into building small satellites that are sometimes are this small, that they can be launched to space very easily and track environmental changes. So I think there are a lot of exciting opportunities in terms of, for example, using new technology to monitor the environment and to care for the environment in the future. Yeah, so yeah, we need smart kids like you are to deal with those new technologies.
Do you sometimes feel like the climate change problem is too difficult to solve? How do you motivate yourself?
Yes, I have many times felt that I think it's not difficult, but sometimes I feel like politicians don't listen very careful, and that I feel a bit frustrating. So I think if everybody does a little bit, it can be easy to deal with the climate change. But yeah, we need people to change habits, and we need government and politicians to have a strong environmental policy, yeah, to change and to stop climate change. But I think it's not difficult. It's just we need to have the will to make it happen. Who has more questions?
Can one family's action make a difference?
One single action makes a difference.
Can one family's action make a difference?
Well, any action make a difference, but of course, a big difference can only be made when we sum all the little actions. So yeah, if there is one single action done by many different individuals, at the end, you can make a big difference. So yeah, I think any little action will make a difference over the long term.
What is one thing you would tell a family that they could do to rescue their carbon footprint?
One thing I will say to whom? To anybody or
To tell a family.
family? A family. Well, yes. Well, one of the things you could do, for example, is to use less your car. So every time you use your car, you are polluting the atmosphere. So the less you use your car and the more you use, for example, public transport or your bikes, or instead of driving to a school, if you can ride your bike or even walk, if China allows you, that that makes a big difference. So that would be one of the things that might be easy to do for everyone, is to reduce the use of cars. And also, if your home allows it, some people also grow their own food in their house. So they have little vegetable gardens. So with that, you produce your own food, and that's also a way to contribute to, for example, less food to need to be transferred from one place to another place. So you grow your own. That's also very environmental friendly. So that are, for example, two little things that I think will make a big difference.
We all loved talking with you and learning about remote sensing data, fires, and climate change. Thank you for talking with us. Bye.
Bye, Carmen. Bye, Emily. Bye, Tori. Thank you very much. I hope you learned something.